Guess what, everybody? This weekend is my 1-year steno anniversary! Woo! So I've been learning steno for 1 year now, and I thought I would love to take this time to tell you about my steno journey so far, how I got started, and describe my experience with Lapwing for anyone thinking of trying it out. And for the record, Lapwing is just a steno theory that's available for free. So before this time last year, I was just an unemployed guy. I was getting rejected and ghosted from job applications, and all that was really hitting my self-confidence, which made it hard to keep trying to apply. I also didn't like my old field, but I didn't know where I could go next. So I also wasn't very focused about what positions to apply for. However, I was spending all my unemployed time on a hobby of mine, which was Korean translation. And I basically just take videos that were in Korean, translate them to English, and then edit the subtitles onto the video. While I was translating, I would start and stop the video so that I could hear what people said over and over again, or pause while I took time to write down what my translation was before continuing on with the video. Overall, I was getting better at translation, but it was still really inefficient, and I wanted to figure out if there was a better way to do it. I was curious whether there was a system to write at the rate of speech, and after looking it up, I found stenography. I searched for videos on YouTube about it, I found Eric's channel, and got directed to the Plover community, where I joined their Discord and got advice on how to get started. I was told to learn Lapwing theory, which has a whole textbook online and is very easy to follow. And for the record, the Plover community still does recommend Lapwing for beginners, for reasons I'll get into in a future video about how to choose a theory. So after opening up the Lapwing textbook, I got started, and it told me how to use my keyboard to start learning the positions of the keys. And I learned that there were keyboards you could get that had very light springs and you could press a lot of keys at the same time. But I told myself I would take my keyboard as far as I could before I put money on it. Funnily enough, that really only took me about 1 or 2 weeks. Once I got to G, which was T, K, P, W, 4 keys all on its own, and I realized that I was having so much fun with it, I decided it was worth it to get a dedicated board for steno. And I chose the star board, which I talked about in another video. After that, in the following weeks, I just kept going through the Lapwing textbook. I did all the drills and the practices, which I really recommend. Theory at its core is not that complicated, but internalizing it so that you can press down the keys automatically really is dependent on how much you drill them. Personally, I found this really fun, typing them out as fast as I could, trying to be more accurate each time. It felt like a video game, and every time I finished and got my score, I wanted to press play again and try to get an even better score. And I would save some of those scores, and then coming back to those drills weeks later and trying again and seeing the improvement, it's really encouraging to see yourself learn. Overall, since I was taking it pretty slow, I think it took me around 2.5 to 3 months to finish most of the Lapwing textbook. I got to around chapter 17 or so. I didn't take the last few chapters super seriously. Overall, I think it was a really good system, makes a lot of sense, easy to follow. Personally, my favorite rules were definitely the E folding and the STK shortcut, which, I don't know, those just always made some really automatic sense for me. I would say the 2 parts that really didn't click with me were, first of all, some of the treatments of the vowels. So for example, was is spelled W-A-S in Lapwing, which sounds pretty intuitive because that's how it's spelled, but phonetically it doesn't follow the rules that were introduced. It sounds like was. Or the word roll. To me, roll kind of sounds like a O sound, like a long O, but it's spelled R-O-L, which isn't really ever explained explicitly in the book, why it's treated like that, although there is kind of a system to it. And the other thing was the plurals could be on S or Z, and were kind of encouraged not to combine, but could be combined. That was a little confusing to me because sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't, and I didn't really get it. But a lot of the things, such as the syllabic splitting, the silent linker, dropping the unstressed vowels, was really easy for me to pick up, and I really loved learning those things. It was really fun. And I also wanted to mention one thing about dictionary, because early on you are encouraged to modify the dictionary when necessary. But at first I was really scared to do so, and I almost never did until I finished the entire Lapwing textbook, because I was really unconfident about what I could and couldn't change, and what was allowed and what wasn't, and what might break something. I just want to say that's totally valid. Personally, it helped me to learn the whole theory before going in to change the dictionary. And it also helps that the Lapwing dictionary is very free of errors and has everything following the theory rules. So there's not a lot of need to modify it at first anyway. It was only after I learned theory completely for the first time that I felt confident to change dictionary entries. So I just want to say, if that's you, don't feel bad, because that was my experience as well. So at this point, I've learned Lapwing theory so that I could write any words, doing it very slow, maybe about 40 words per minute on the typing websites. But I also found out that stenography is a career that's in demand right now. I heard about the free A to Z course to try it out and find out whether it would be a good fit career. And I was like, great, this is like a low risk way to find out whether I do want to commit to this as a job, because I am looking for a job. So I registered for one with a local chapter. It was run by a lady in DC, and I was able to contact her to borrow a machine for the program. We had a bunch of meetings twice a week with 2 different teachers over maybe 6 or so weeks. We learned all the letters. We had a lot of guest speakers who told us great things about the field, and my teacher let us know about the NCRA open house, where we could go check out schools on the NCRA shortlist. And if you're curious more about this course, go check out my video on it with Marguerite, who is my teacher. And so by the end of that course, I was pretty confident, like, yeah, I'm ready to do this, I'm ready to commit, I'm ready to find a school. And I did, through another month of research, a whole story there. I've made some videos about how I chose a school, so you can check those out. And I started at Tri-C in January of this year. And for me, that meant I started over with theory. So I had to go back to the very beginning and learn again. The good thing was, I did know what I liked from Lapwing, and I had already gotten an intuition for how to modify the dictionary safely. The downside was, since it went from the very beginning, it took a while to get to the point where I could understand the rules of this new theory and what I could and couldn't modify. The theory they teach at Tri-C derives a lot of features from Phoenix theory, which I would describe as a lot more straightforward, a lot more consistent, a lot more conflict-free, but you lose a lot of space you could have used on briefs in, say, StenEd. That's not to say that there isn't enough space for briefs. The steno keyboard has so much space on it. You can still find spots for all the briefs you could possibly want. They're just not in the places you might have gone for with StenEd. So it was a struggle to lose some of the briefs that I had on Lapwing and I was really used to, such as using initial B for about, or initial D for did, or using final T for the. Those are all things that I couldn't do with Phoenix theory. It also annoyed me that the brief for initial L in Lapwing was will, but in the new theory it was all, so I had to make that switch as well in my mind after I had drilled it a ton already. However, overall I would describe learning Lapwing first as a massive advantage because I was already very good at distilling sounds down and typing full syllables without much hesitation. And the other thing about modifying the dictionary is the dictionary I got at Tri-C, a lot more messy than the Lapwing dictionary, needs a lot more modifications, is missing a lot of entries that do follow the rules that we were taught, so you do constantly have to be adding to it. And it's messy in that there's like a lot of random entries in there as well. I often see briefs that are like, oh yeah, that's a StenEd brief that's just in there, and I'm like, okay. And yeah, now I'm 8 months into Tri-C. I've just started my 3rd semester. My 1-year accomplishments are that I've passed a 120 literary speed test, and I've also passed a 120 Q&A speed test. I haven't started jury charge yet, but I'm at 100 for my real time as well. Since I'm still in theory at my school, we haven't really focused on speed yet, but this is as far as I've got in 1 year, pushing myself as much as I can. And yeah, I really enjoy and love what I'm doing. These days I spend somewhere between 3 to 5 hours on the machine. At the end of the day, I'm really tired. I'm like, ugh, that's enough of that. But then I think about it, I'm like, I can't wait to wake up tomorrow again and get back on it. Like, I get to press these buttons and learn how to get better at it. And it's just really exciting to me. My goals for the rest of the year: I'm going to finish the rest of the theory classes at my school, and if I can pass certain tests, I might be able to pass out of the first speed building class at my school, so I would love to do that, so I'm going to see if I can aim for that. And there's also the Project Steno Scholarship, where you get some money if you can reach 140 in 1 year. So counting from the 1 year I started school officially in January, if I make it by December, I would love to complete that scholarship as well. So that's been my journey into steno so far for 1 year. So I want to hear from you. Are you a steno student? Are you a court reporter? If you're at 1 year and beyond in your steno journey, How far did you make it in 1 year? If you've started steno but haven't gotten to 1 year yet, what do you enjoy about it? And what motivates you to keep practicing and learning? Because it is hard. And if you're watching this just curious about steno or thinking about starting steno, what questions do you have and what are you curious about? And just for you, I'm hoping to make my next video a tutorial on how to get started with steno for free for all of you who are new to this whole thing. And as always, I'll end off with my week recap. This was the first week of my 3rd semester, the first week back to school for the fall. And so far, it's not been so bad. There's only 2 classes that start at the very beginning of the semester, and I have one that starts halfway through the semester. So having just theory class plus the one class isn't too crazy so far, but we'll see how it goes. And theory has been pretty straightforward so far, very similar to theory 2, having the 2 weeks each on each lesson, and actually a little fewer concepts than I think maybe we could fit in 2 weeks. I practiced a lot this week. I guess I was just really missing the machine. I didn't get to practice as much on break as I wanted to, and so I did probably 4 hours every day. Yesterday, for whatever reason, it got to like 4.5 or 5 hours. But today for Saturday, I'm just taking it light with only 2. But yeah, my new theory teacher seems nice, and I'm excited for the semester. So physically, I took myself to the doctor this week. I'm trying to get some stuff checked out. I went to the chiro, and that was really physical for me too. Like, I was really sore yesterday. I still haven't figured out the whole thing with the big naps because I took a lot of them this week, but I am trying to go to bed a little bit earlier and wake up a little bit earlier to see if that helps with anything. So overall, I'm at my best condition right now, really refreshed from break, and I had a really pleasant first week back. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.